All right. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Chapter 1, we had all this time about all this time talking about, oh, that couldn't be Rena. That's so different from Rena. Oh, that couldn't be Mion. That's so different from Mion.
Yep.
That kept coming up over and over again.
Yeah.
And now we're getting this. We just had last episode this whole thing about, oh, everybody's got this other side of themselves, and appearances aren't reality. Do you think that's anything?
Do I think that's anything? I mean, yeah, I think it's something. But I think the way it's being primed for us to think about things is... I believe the way that we're being primed to apply it is mostly a red herring. Right. People aren't who they... I don't think the takeaway is that people are deceitful. I think the takeaway is that people are people are multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
People have the kind of person they are when they're around other people, and people have the kind of person they are at other times. Keiichi, of all people, should know that.
Mm-hmm.
He's spent a long time of Chapter 1 deceiving his friends and not telling them about it. He spent, there's the Keiichi around his friends who seems very happy and amiable, and the Keiichi who is alone, who seems kind of sad a lot of the time. That's definitely been a through line. And I think another point for trans Rena theory is that Rena in particular gets uncomfortable when the question is pushed back on her. Right? Not that it would make her deceitful or you know what I mean. I don't have to qualify that. Hopefully you all have the good faith interpretation of that. But in the fact that she doesn't know what Keiichi would make of that. At least, that's what us here at Trans Renico say. Hey, stocks have been on the rise ever since we started this chapter, okay? And I see no reason to give it up. She was a mysterious and ridiculous person, believing she had everyone fooled like that. Noticed I was pedaling along quite happily. Could it be I was looking forward to meeting Shion again? I felt a sense of giddy anticipation, like I was headed towards a new friend's house for the first time. What Rena said about Mion actually being really feminine sprang to mind once again. The guilt from spying on another side of Mion, the self-consciousness from being the only one that knew about that side, these feelings mixed together. And that was Shion for you. Mion's little twin sister. Until she felt like coming out and admitting she was Mion, it was fine to just call her Shion, right? Mion might be trying to have some fun by acting out a different persona.
Persona!
All right, who's Keiichi's persona?
What's the dick chariot? Is that Mara?
Yeah, it's Mara. Mara's the dick chariot. Why? Because he can't help but drive himself with his dick? Fair enough. As I reached the top of the steep hill, the horizon expanded before me. I was almost at the station. The last time I wasn't embarrassed since I was here with Dad, but this time I was alone and I was strangely self-conscious about it. Meet Shion, get my key back. That was all this task was supposed to be, but if I dawdled around like this, maybe Shion would find me before she headed in for work. Hey, what are you doing, Keiichi Maebara? You're just here to get your key back, you know? It's not like you're some love-struck schoolboy here to hand over a love letter. The thoughts inside my head were slowly turning into a jumbled mess. I came to the realization that I was downright giddy. That's why, for just a bit, just a tiny little bit, I got a little carried away and did something really stupid. I kicked over a parked motorcycle that was blocking the sidewalk. Is that why you did that? It was in the way, sure, but there was absolutely no need for me to kick it. I definitely think I got too carried away. Thunk, clack. Crash! As the three bikes toppled one after the other like dominoes. The callback. The loud noise they caused snapped me back to my senses. Oh, shit.
The hell you think you're doing?
The owners of the three bikes were right there. They looked exactly like what you'd call thugs up to no good. They lifted their heads up in an imposing manner and yelled angrily in a way I never had heard before. The three of them beelined toward me, the worn-down heels of their thin-soled shoes slapping noisily against the pavement. I could only stare listlessly as if I were watching some far-off event that didn't concern me at all. By the time I realized it, I had been grabbed by the collar and lifted onto my tiptoes.
Don't be playing dumb. You knocked him over, didn't you? Huh?
The three thugs were completely ignoring the rules of grammar, but the way they spoke was enough to make me tremble. Just like that, my composure drained away. My legs buckled and my throat grew dry enough to crack. I'm sorry, I accidentally...
Accident, my ass. You kicked it, didn't you, dumbass?
I was completely at fault, so there was nothing I could say in my defense. As a result, I was pulled even higher.
The hell, man. The paint's all scuffed. Yo, brat, who put you up to this, eh?
This is your goddamn fault. The three of them continued to yell at me. I had no idea what each of them were saying. Getting even further enraged that I was only listening while dumbstruck, they grabbed an empty plastic crate from a nearby store and began to smash it repeatedly against a telephone pole. Cracks formed in the crate, plastic shards flying everywhere. Then they slammed it full force into the shuttered storefront. Smash. The shutter let out a frighteningly loud noise. Still not satisfied, they flipped over a case of empty cans, scattering its contents all over the place. This was not normal. It was something you saw on television or manga, but I never thought seeing it in person would be this terrifying. I became painfully aware that the safety of civilized society was only held up by such a frail concept as morals. My knees clattered together noisily. Static began to pepper my vision. This is what you would call absolute terror. There was nothing I could do to stop this frightening spectacle of violence. I could only pray for help. The fear I felt was just too much. Would someone help me? My gaze floundered about the surrounding area. I was surrounded by these three hoodlums. No way would there be a passerby brave enough to intervene. Maybe this is what you call reaping what you sow. If I were a passerby, there would be no doubt that I'd ignore what was going on. So this was somewhat of a cosmic retribution.
Fucking say something. I'll fucking stab ya.
Angry yelling, loud enough to rattle my eardrums, spewed forth from right in front of my face. My waning consciousness was forcefully dragged back to the forefront. The thug had cocked back his free hand and twisted his body when suddenly, a metallic taste filtered through the back of my throat. A chill ran down my spine like a jolt of electricity. Seeing what was going to happen next, I squeezed my eyes shut as tightly as possible and grit my teeth.
You're making quite the racket, you stupid pieces of trash. Get out of my sight.
That voice was a short distance away. Still holding me by the collar, the three thugs spun around to look behind them.
The fuck you say?
Standing there was Mion. She stood there displaying an imposing stature I'd never seen before. She didn't have the same look on her face as she did when we were playing around during club. Those were the eyes that would instill fear in anyone who looked upon them, the eyes of a raptor. They were the epitome of terror, and at the same time, they were the most reassuring things in the world.
I'll only say this one more time. Let go of Kei-chan and get lost.
Mion, without an ounce of fear, laid down her ultimatum. Of course, there was no way those three wouldn't go absolutely berserk. The situation instantly turned explosively dangerous.
You fucking bitch. I'll fucking bash your head in.
Stop it, Mion. These guys are like rabid dogs. Is this meant to be like a British accent? You fucking
I have no
bitch.
idea.
I'll fucking bash your head in. These guys are like rabid dogs. No amount of bluffing will work. Mion, it's dangerous, so raw. I knew what I was saying was pathetic, but I couldn't let Mion get involved in this. No matter how you looked at it, Mion was only bluffing. But did Mion even know the meaning of the word bluff? However, the reason behind everything soon became apparent. It was slowly increasing in number little by little. At first, it was only businessmen on the way home stopping to take a look. Then it was housewives in the middle of shopping taking a gander. Next, what seemed like the owner of some store showed up, and it was pretty clear he wasn't just looking. Around Mion, there were already about 7 people gathered. Felt different than people coming out to support a friend. If I had to say why, it was because the group that gathered was diverse in age and gender. The three thugs seemed to slowly realize there was something strange about the situation.
Who the hell are these guys?
Behind them, at some point, 4 more people of differing clothes and ages had gathered. A girl who looked to be in middle school, a man wearing a bakery apron, an old lady in a house-cleaning smock, more and more people of various ages. Their gazes, comparable to Mion's, were of hostility, of intimidation. You came into the Sonozaki territory. Before I realized that over 10 people had formed a ring around us, at that moment 5 elementary schoolers ran in and joined the circle. There were some familiar faces, some of our classmates. Then these people were residents of Hinamizawa? Big assumption. More and more people from Hinamizawa gathered around. I want to point out that's kind of an assumption. In obvious contrast, the residents of Okonomiya were passing by as quickly as possible.
The fuck are you guys? Go the fuck away.
The group surrounding us had suddenly swelled to around 20 people. Completely encircled, the faces of the thugs began to show the first signs of panic. No one spoke a word, and Mion included. That made everything completely unnatural and, depending on which side you were on, completely terrifying. Only the thugs' voices echoed out like they were screaming. Someone took a step forward, closing the gap between them. And as they did, everyone else took a step forward, shrinking the circle. The hoodlums went pale as they were pushed together back to back while still yelling angrily. They were trying to string together vulgarities, but for some reason it sounded like they were crying out for help.
Who's talking?
All right, what's going on here? What's going on? It was sudden. A solidly built officer cut his way through the crowd. At some point, 2 police cars had arrived. Some passerby undoubtedly called for him. Several burly officers appeared from inside the second vehicle.
Oh, officer, good timing. There you go. The extortionists caught red-handed. Please arrest them.
The fuck? This brat's the one that's wrong here.
Mion, returning to her usual self, was nonchalantly pointing out the hoodlums to the police. Of course, the thugs were furious. But now that it had come to this, there was nothing they could do. It was their loss. All right, come on over here for a sec. Come on already. The officers handcuffed the thugs and dragged them towards the patrol cars. Yeah, because the Sonozaki's got the rank-and-file cops working for them. Not either working, but not questioning them.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck? Let me go. We're the victims here. Are you listening, damn it?
No matter how much of a ruckus they caused, the officers paid no heed. In the blink of an eye, they were crammed inside the 2 vehicles. They could still be heard yelling while inside the police cars, but what they were saying was no longer intelligible. Are you all right? Are you injured there? He was probably a detective. The man leading the police peered at my face. No, not really. No. Well, that's a bit of a silver lining then, ain't it? Well, then, have a good year. The portly man, after taking a quick look around, addressed the crowd. Thank you, citizens, for your timely report. Thanks to your efforts, we were able to keep the peace today. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you for your hard work, Detective Oishi. As a citizen, I thank you for your daily efforts. It's an honor for a detective from the 1st Division to come out all this way.
The way Shion talked didn't have a very pleasant tone. Because again, we know that they don't like him. It was a coincidence, you hear. I happened to hear all the call over the radio on my way back from the prefectural office. I just made a little detour is all.
Please keep up the good work. I pray for success in your future endeavors.
Oh, shucks. For a good old man like me, it's a good thing there were no injuries, though.
Oishi-san, we're done here. Let's go.
Me and my banana suit gotta head off now. Well then, have a good year. So, could you make way? The detective named Oishi, after jovially making pleasantries, lumbered over to the waiting police car. He quickly set off, disappearing down the city street. It was over so quickly. So quickly I was dumbstruck. I didn't even get to ask the officer what was going on. It was like they came here quickly to disperse the mob before any trouble could start. After making sure the police cars had left, Mion snapped her fingers sharply.
All right, that's a wrap. And don't come back.
That was the signal. The tension melted away in an instant as everyone began smiling. A middle-aged man helped me up.
Are you okay, young Maebara? Next time, pick your fights a bit better.
It's not like I wanted to fight.
You hurt anywhere? If you hit your head, it would be a good idea to get an x-ray taken.
An older lady I didn't know the name of was concerned about my injury.
You were lucky this happened right in front of the station when it was busy. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to gather as many people. Next time, be more careful. City kids these days are pretty unruly. Honestly.
I was even warned by the old lady in the smog.
I am like 0 for whatever on guessing the voices.
As Shion finished applauding the dispersing group for their efforts, she strode over to me.
Well, you're pretty good, Kei-chan. But I also think you should be more careful about who you pick a fight with.
Oh, thanks, Mio. Oh, you saved my bacon there.
Luckily, I can have anybody arrested.
Yeah, she can. The family can just do that.
Like I said, I'm Shion.
Now, you might think there's a contradiction between her like very demure and like blushing behavior versus this very strict no-nonsense personality she just showed with the cops.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a reason for that, though, because remember, she's got this fixation on Mion's group of friends specifically. I think the embarrassment is not that she is shy and she's shy and demure, but more that this is Keiichi, the person she keeps hearing stories about, the person that she keeps asking her sister about. I think it's more the case that, like, it's Keiichi in particular that makes her be like this, rather than there being some weird contradiction in her behavior here.
I see.
She made a troubled expression as she turned her gaze downwards, blushing in embarrassment.
I heard from my sister. That first seal keychain was yours, Kei-chan?
Oh yeah, that's right. I was just heading to the restaurant to grab it.
And you ended up feeling so excited that you got mixed up in something weird.
That was my turn for my face to go red. I didn't want to admit it. She was spot on. I was just unlucky is all, but you really saved me, Shion.
You don't have to thank me, so if you see somebody else getting bullied, help them out, okay?
Yeah, you know what? That is legitimately a great advice. Like, the best way to thank someone out for saving your bacon is to pay it forward. Save the next person's bacon.
We value that kind of thing very highly here.
I was well versed in that sense of camaraderie, but the way I was rescued just now, something seemed a little off about that. While I was helped out, I was honestly to an almost disturbing degree.
Like I said, we value that very highly here.
Oh, I believe it.
Keiichi.
I hear you loud and clear. Keiichi made the leap that it appeared to be residents of Hinamizawa, but we know that not everyone from school lives in Hinamizawa.
Do we?
Yeah.
I thought we had established that not everyone from Hinamizawa goes to that school. I thought it was the opposite thing. Or not opposite thing, that
not
thing.
everyone in Hinamizawa goes... Right, so that some of them go... Okay.
It'd be kind of weird if people came from the school with from the city with the more stuff in the bigger school and
it would be weird.
Hinamizawa, one-room schoolhouse.
But, maybe they want to...
Maybe they do.
Yeah. Whatever. He made an assumption that they were all Hinamizawans, instead of perhaps people that have connections to the Sonozaki family. Which... Oh, look, the Sonozaki heiress, one of the two Sonozaki kids is out here. I know I can get in good with the boss if I turn up for this one, right?
It's mandatory helping Shion fun time.
It's mandatory helping Shion fun time.
You're coming into the restaurant, right? You must be tired, so why don't you relax for a bit? My treat.
Shion might just have a crush on Keiichi. Like, it might not even just be this... I do think there's this angle of fixation about how Mion gets to have this circle of friends.
Mm-hmm.
But also she might just have a crush on Keiichi in the sense that, like, oh, maybe I'm not used to people who don't know who I am. And it seems she had caught the glimmer of suspicion in my eyes. Without waiting for my answer, Shion began walking. Shion to you, Keiichi. No. All right, I'll take that. We'll try again later. Oh, man, I'm so happy to be back in Hinamizawa, or Okonomiya in this game. You know what I mean. After cooling off a bit inside the restaurant, little by little, I realized I was still on edge. There were spots here and there on my body that hurt, probably because I had been so stiff with nervousness. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, after the tense situation, all the adrenaline kind of flows out, and you're just suddenly feeling everything your body had been putting off for a bit so you could, like, focus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that definitely checks out. Shion, who had changed into her uniform, brought over 2 glasses of iced coffee.
Here you go. Iced coffee on the house. Just bring this coupon with you to the register and it'll be no charge.
My patheticness really knew no bounds, but since she went through the trouble, I might as well take her up on the offer. Even though it had started out as a lovely day, I had to get carried away and do that stupid thing. I'd completely ruined it. I'm still not convinced that that's why, like, even if you're in a good mood, you don't just knock over a motorcycle. That's not, like, the first thing I would turn to if I was in a good mood. I don't know how much to read into it, but Keiichi's choice of action there, I think, says a lot more about him and what he thinks is acceptable. He called it stupid, but, like, what his brain in that moment thinks, like, this is an okay thing for me to turn to in this moment.
Also worth thinking about that he is a restless youth, a rambunctious kid that I'm sure that you either have or have been around people who have made stupid choices at some point while being a child.
Yeah, stupid, destructive choices because you're a kid, and I can, you know what? I can also understand that. I can also understand that. I do have memories of, like, stupid, destructive choices for no reason. Other than that, I'm a kid and what the fuck, right?
Yep.
Still,
Somebody told me not to, and that means it's cool.
Yeah, there you go. Still, I do think it bears repeating that it's not. It is a strange thing to pull for, and I don't think we're wrong to notice that that's his choice of action. Regardless,
Motorcycle nemesis Keiichi.
He tried to do the Akira slide once and couldn't do it, and he got really pissed off at motorcycles ever since.
And now it's on site for every two-wheeled vehicle with a motor.
Exactly.
Electric scooters are on thin ice.
I'll get you one day, Segways. Even though it started out as such a lovely day, I had to get carried away and do that stupid thing. I had completely ruined it. But really, you really saved my hide there. I've really come to see you as reliable.
Even I was scared, but Kei-chan was in trouble, so I had to be brave and do my best.
Yeah, definitely got a crush on him. Well, a little embarrassed by what she just said, Shion made a show of folding her arms boldly. Shion, really, thank you. I was thinking Shion, but I really wanted to thank Mion. Mion, really, thank you.
Now, cheer up a little. If you feel indebted, then when you have the chance, you should help somebody in need. Like, for example, if I'm ever in trouble, please come and save me.
Oh yeah, of course. It's a promise.
You absolutely have to.
Taking advantage of my words, she seemed happy about my promise.
So if I'm ever in trouble, Kei-chan will come and save me. I hope trouble comes soon. You finally smiled.
She said as she smiled herself, poking me in the cheek. Poke.
A downtrodden Kei-chan is as good as an imposter.
Sus. Bup, 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 bup.
Come on, smile.
That was
smile
around
more.
in the 80s, right? It feels like it's been around forever. Stop, that tickle, stop. Thanks to Shion's meddling, I finally cheered up a little. All the muscles in my body that had stiffened because of the incident finally began to relax a little.
When you're in a better mood, don't you get a little hungry? I'm kind of hungry, so I want to eat some pancakes or something. Do you want some too, Kei-chan?
I wanted to show a little restraint, but restraint really wasn't my thing. That's why I replied without any. They're good, right? I'm pretty picky when it comes to pancakes. Oh, a pancake connoisseur, huh? All right.
Don't worry, our pancakes have a pretty good reputation.
Shion ordered some pancakes from a nearby waitress. An employee ordering from another employee seems kind of weird. I mean, it's a strange version of a maid cafe, right? Like, the service they're providing is less the food and more the experience of being with the waitresses or being served by them, right?
Plus, just because I work here doesn't mean I work here. Who's gonna tell me no?
Well, oh, right, yeah, because it's fucking Shion. Right.
I've decided it's my break, and you're making me pancakes.
What are they going to do, say no to Shion?
We know what happens to people who...
Say no to the Sonozakis, right. I know, I'm there with you. Employee ordering from another employee seems kind of weird. Hey, speaking of that, weren't you in the middle of a shift? Been slacking off for a while talking to me.
I told my uncle that you saved me when I was surrounded by hoodlums, so he's rewarding you.
But it's the opposites. All right, well, whatever.
So I have the manager's permission.
It's exactly the opposite of what happens. Is that all right?
It's perfectly fine.
By the time the pancakes arrived, we had entered into a relaxed conversation. Is he going to forget his key? Oh, pancake connoisseur Keiichi. I bet he doesn't prepare his eskay style. Have we shared the secret technique
I don't
to
think
making
so.
pancakes delicious? You know what? This is on topic.
It is on topic.
Yeah, I'm going to share it with you.
We've been on a real pancake kick lately.
The secret to making any pancake more delicious, all right? You've got a short stack of pancakes and you want to enjoy them to the fullest. Who doesn't? I made pancakes this morning, right? And
They were good.
and wanted to enjoy them. So here's what you do. Quick step process here. Number 1, take some butter or plant butter alternative and butter the tops of your pancakes, okay? I've seen a lot of people skip this step, and no, you can't do it. It's important. You got to get that little layer, but you don't want to drown it, but you want to get it nice and in there, okay?
On each layer.
On each layer. Remember, it might seem counterintuitive, but you want to do the top first, because the layer below it is going to melt super quickly with both the top and bottom layer heating it up, all right? Now, you've got a nice layer, not thick, again, we're not overdoing this, all right? We just want a nice layer of butter. Then, At this step, you're going to cut your pancakes into a grid. You don't want them to be tiny pieces, but make them like pieces that you're okay with, okay? I usually cut, I don't usually make them that small, but like, and you don't want them to be like micro-sized, but you want to have like a decent grid in there, okay? Right? You got your pancake, you got your short stack cut up, one pancake up top of another. Now, at this step, you take real maple syrup, not pancake syrup, real maple syrup, and you're going to lightly drizzle it on top of your pancakes, paying close attention to the cracks. You want to get that maple syrup drizzled right in those cracks there so it soaks into the center of your pancakes and gets down to the bottom layer. Some of it's going to pool around the bottom. That's fine. Don't worry about that. It's just nice lines of maple syrup up and down, left to right on your grid. And then, and only then, are you ready to eat your pancakes.
You forgot a step. The magic spell.
Oh, yeah. No, that's for me serving pancakes. That's
Okay.
The magic spell is when I serve pancakes. I don't think the magic spell will work for anyone other than me.
I see.
But that is how you can take your pancake game to the next level with very, very little effort.
It works. I was a convert. I previously ate them Vivian style, and I had to admit I was wrong.
There are a few things I will go to this hard in the paint for, but one of those things is the proper way in which to enjoy pancakes. I'd say fight me in the comments, but no, you're wrong. You'll lose. You will absolutely lose. So if you want to throw hands, you're welcome to try, but I've got your number. Anyway, back from a totally on-topic digression, as the two of us ate pancakes, we livened the mood with some chit-chat about what was on TV, celebrities, that kind of thing. Hobbies, food, really nothing more than idle chit-chat. See, but that's exactly the kind of thing that Mion doesn't know about. Mion doesn't really follow TV, what's on TV or celebrities. We had that like drilled into us earlier. She's like, oh yeah, that's totally what a city boy would think of, right? And it's like, yeah, because Shion has different things she pays attention to than Mion does. Talking together like this, I once again became conscious of Shion being a girl. Hey, now, that's funny talk, Keiichi Maebara. Shion and Mion are the same person, right? If there was anything different between them, it was only whether or not Mion admitted she was Mion. But given that, how come our conversation was this different?
Kei-chan, you don't think of my sister as a girl, do you?
Well, that's not true. If she were a guy, I'd punch the living daylights out of her.
I think the reason you guys get along so well is because you have that kind of platonic relationship. That's a pretty rare and enviable thing to have, don't you think?
That's honestly straight up, yeah. Especially like I seeing this less and less these days, which is good. But like I know when like I was a kid growing up, probably for you as well. There's this weird thing where like if you have a friendship with someone who's the opposite gender from you, that it immediately has to be seen through the lens of romance, right? Like you have to fight for it not to be that. That's the assumed default. And again, it's less and less common these days, which is good. That's how it should be. But like I this idea that you can share a deep and platonic friendship with someone of the opposite sex was not really. It was hard to work for that if that was how you, even if that's how you truly felt with someone. An outside observer would be like, "Oh, you must be into each other, huh? When are you getting together?" It's like, not everything has to be about that. God. Anyway, it is a rare and enviable thing to have a deep, platonic, and like to have a really deep and trusting platonic relationship with someone is a wonderful thing. I don't get what you're saying, but it really would be a waste to treat her like a girl, right?
Hey, Kei-chan, that's sexist.
Hearing the word sexist was cause for introspection. What was I prejudiced against Mion or Shion for? Mion was Mion. She was the best friend a guy could have, no reservations, and head and shoulders above me when it came to club activities. If I'd met her 5 years earlier, my life would have probably been a lot more fun. This I had no doubt. Then what about Shion? She was Mion's little sister and hadn't even been 3 days since we met. Her relationship was much more distant, as the only thread we had in common was that I knew her sister. And for Shion, it was the same. I was somebody she met 3 days ago, only because I was a friend of her sister's. The difference between Mion and Shion? Friendlessness? Friendliness? Ooh. Friendliness? Familiarity? Playing around with those unclear thoughts for a while, I had stopped listening to Shion. Are they going to have they parent trapped at some point?
There's no way to know. We've established that they look similar enough that they could do it.
Yeah, I know. Like, we have, and again, I mentioned this when I talked about, like, whether or not we should invoke twins. We have no reason to believe, like, I have no circumstances to invoke the parent trapping yet, right? Like, it's on the table. It's there, and I will reach for it if we need to, but until circumstances dictate that it is something we should look for, I'm not going to worry about it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard are you tempted to go back to earlier episodes and try to see if there are any points where Mion might be Shion?
Here's the thing. I'm not.
Okay.
I sat back and I really thought about it, and I'm like, I don't think so. Because
Okay.
none of my operative understanding of that chapter was based on the idea that Mion might be someone else.
Mm-hmm.
If we find out later that we have reason to believe that they are parent trapping, and we can understand the motivation for it, then I might go back and watch and see if I could discover it. But I'm not just going to go back and watch for no reason because we know a twin exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, knowing a twin, like, because then I'd be going back and being like, okay, this could be Shion, but what does that get? But for what? It won't get me anything. None of my theories or understandings of that chapter would gain anything by assuming that.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if we do find out, or more about the relationship and what might have motivated it, then I would consider going back. But for now, no, I don't see any reason to.
All right. Hypothetically, okay? Are you listening?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm listening.
This is just a hypothetical question, okay? Both me and my sister are in trouble, okay? We're dangling off the side of a cliff. Which one of us do you save? You can only save one.
She wasn't saying it to tease me, but had a playful tone behind her voice. That's not a nice question. I want to save you both, but I can't do that, right?
Right. You can only save either Shion or Mion.
Interesting.
Who do you save?
Interesting. Why are you so invested in having someone to fight for your side here? This is seeming less like a hypothetical, more like a present danger for you. All right. Or Mion. Oh, one other thing to mention about twins is that twins also mean that you can't trust their corpses. Right? One's corpse could easily substitute for another if they are identical twins, which they appear to be.
That's a good thought.
So, if we ever see either of them dead, that is another thing to keep in the back. Again, we don't invoke it unless we have a reason to. But it's something we should understand is on the table. That is a tool in our toolbox we can reach for if the situation calls for it.
Mm.
If it were Mion, I don't think she'd be in that situation in the first place, as it's something she could easily get out of herself. What about the normal frail Shion? I guess I'd have no choice.
It's not my sister, right?
If Mion and Shion were different people, I suppose it would come to that. I couldn't confirm or deny it. She should have been smiling, but her gaze was locked firmly to mine.
In other words, that's it, isn't it? My sister is... Huh. Sorry, I messed up what I was trying to say.
Shion was trying to talk in a lighthearted manner, but I felt that there was something more behind her words. Interesting. What is it you're worried about happening, Shion? Interesting. Was Mion trying to tell me something through Shion? Not being able to put a finger on exactly what it was vexing. Shion, to hide her embarrassment, turned the conversation around.
More importantly, just now, were you surprised when everybody kept on showing up?
Of course I was. If it were Ren or Sadako, that would have been one thing, but for all those people, young and old, together. You were all from Hinamizawa, right?
Yeah, that's right. Everybody in Hinamizawa is pretty close-knit.
Huh. Okay.
An enemy of one is the enemy of all. Nobody is going to look on from the sidelines. They're a pretty reliable group of residents.
Again, I don't believe that. I laid out my argument for that during our Chapter 1 discussion. I think more the motivating force here, again, is not them being Hinamizawa. The motivating force is she's a Sonozaki. But it's probably better for her to spin it like this.
This is one thing that's kind of interesting here. It's different from the first chapter. First chapter, we had all this stuff about Keiichi as an outsider.
Yep.
And here we're getting a whole arc of Keiichi as an insider.
Yeah. Because remember, the whole thing about Arc 1 is that he felt like an outsider, but I maintained that was his own feelings about himself. I maintained through that like, if he had opened up to he would have been accepted as part of the town.
Mm-hmm.
That whole insider-outsider thing was just his own worrying about things he'd made himself or Oishi planted.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I don't see that there's a contradiction here. I feel like we never had a chance in Chapter 1 for Keiichi to see whether or not the town would come to his aid.
Yep.
If someone is getting picked on, then everyone unites to get rid of the bully, huh? That sounds like the Mafia or the Yakuza's brand of unity. Just gonna put that out there and okay. Sure, buddy.
You shouldn't say something like that. It's something you should be thankful for. You were saved by that unity, weren't you? Never forget to show your appreciation.
I half-heartedly agreed. I knew full well I should be appreciative. Everyone really is close-knit, aren't they?
Maybe it's because of tradition. Hinamizawa has been in danger of becoming a ghost town on several occasions. There's been a history of the villagers uniting together each time to fight for the village's continued existence. For example, Kei-chan, did you know about the Hinamizawa Dam project?
Ooh! Oh, let's get this started. Yes. Yes, because of my theories last thing of where the divergence point between these might have been, I am getting out my notes about the, I've got a page or two here about, I've got 4 pages of notes about the dam site murder dismemberment, so let's hear it. See, I feel like I've heard of someone talk about it before.
About 10 years ago, there was a sudden proposal to build a dam here, which would have submerged Hinamizawa underwater.
The proposal came about 10 years ago. Does that fit up with the timeline? The timeline... So the proposal first came in 1975. Okay, 8 years ago. Okay, yeah, sure. That's about 10 years ago. Fine. If you want to round 8 years up to a decade, I'm cool with that. That story, I think I heard my dad talk about it. Pretty sure that plan was canceled, right?
We made them cancel it. Everybody banded together. So that was a well-earned victory.
Interesting. So Shion was also a part of that. Good to know. Sounded pretty much like the story I'd heard. And it's also the same way that Mion framed it, as everyone coming together to, get their complete victory.
Mm-hmm.
The protest intensified to the point where it was featured in newspapers and magazines. As a result, the plan was suspended. Right, and which is the same as it was in Chapter 1, where it's suspended but not fully taken off the table.
Yep.
Right. Hold on.
The whole story with the dam apparently started before I was born.
This is new. What do you mean?
At first, the proposal was only for exploratory purposes or a small dam to control erosion.
So the Hinamizawa, the bigger project, came out of a smaller one that existed beforehand.
Yeah, seems like it.
Interesting. And it started before you were born. Okay. So that adds a bunch of years onto it. Okay. But then the cat was let out of the bag. If it were completed, it would have been the biggest dam in Japan. Not just Hinamizawa, but several villages upstream would have been submerged as well. Bigger than Kurobe, huh? Because that's, again, the little point of context that Tomitake added in Chapter 1, is that this is, this takes place this would have taken place after the construction of the Kurobe Dam, which was finished in 1963. We talked about that during our discussion video, so I won't recap it all here, but, that is, it is very much of the times for dam building to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the next big dam is, very much something that's in the zeitgeist, so to say. The protests immediately began. Petitions to cancel or relocate the project were drafted and submitted to the Diet. So in this framing, it's the protest happened after the real intention behind the dam was discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They even went so far as to go to the Ministry of Construction in Tokyo to hand over a direct appeal to the minister. Interesting. Okay. We did hear about the protests and them taking their protests to the Diet and stuff. The previous landowner sued the government, stating there were inconsistencies in the purchase agreement and the transaction should be nullified. This is a good little detail here. So the person they purchased the land that was going to be the dam from, I didn't realize they were an operative person in this story, stating there were inconsistencies in the purchase agreement and the transaction should be nullified. Okay.
Seems like either the government misled the person they purchased from, or the person they purchased from changed their mind later for some reason.
Yeah, we know the government was working through a shell company at this point to do their construction work.
Which is weird. You'd think they'd build it out of concrete or metal or something more durable than shells.
Okay, so... Owners of yet unacquired land split their properties, increasing the number of landowners in order to stifle the project. Ooh, that's a smart move. Taking your big tracts of land and being like, oh no, this is actually, here you go, bro. This is your land now. Now you've got 2 landowners to deal with.
It was all very precious when the land acquisition was still about money. Eventually, they started relying on eminent domain in order to seize land.
Ooh. I'm liking that we're getting more about the angle of stuff leading up to it, because we didn't hear any about like the how the land came to be the government's in that one. It just kind of started that way.
It started at that point. The riot police began to get violent.
Ooh. Riot police? You mean just the police? Why would they act violent?
They punched, they kicked. There was a time I was hit. Right around here, I think. My skin split open and a whole lot of blood spilled out.
Saying that, Shion indicated her temple by poking at it. What happened to the police? Filing a complaint against the riot police for police brutality would seem kind of strange for some reason. Yeah, it's like, who are you going to complain to about the police, huh? Naturally, they wouldn't lead to something like that. You wouldn't be able to establish proof on who exactly hit you, and they could justify their actions by saying you were interfering with police duties.
My Nana went off like a firework. After that, it was amazing, like a full-scale war. We weren't just going to sit by and idly file complaints. We went on the offensive.
Didn't I also mention something about, hey, you messed with the Sonozaki's daughter? Didn't I say that was...
You did.
I said it was Mion at the time, but you messed with the daughter of the family in town. You've suddenly opened up a different can of worms, huh? First, in order to call attention to the government, they filed a temporary injunction in court. Then, in order to gain public support, they called in prominent scientists to state that Hinamizawa was a valuable nature preserve. They pressured the prefectural and municipal assemblies, saying that the prefectural governor ignored his constituents when he approved the project and demanded his resignation. They completely and thoroughly denounced him. Naturally, in Hinamizawa, a ferocious conflict worthy of being called the Dam War began. In order to suppress the police's brutality, they coordinated with the network channels and exposed the violence of the riot squad members to the public. On top of that, they put together a special expose themed around the government repressing the citizens and aired it nationally. It worked wonders. Following that, the SWAT teams had their hands cuffed. See, now this, I don't believe that exposing police violence would some way stop it. But
Well,
I mean, I'm being, a little bit glib, but
I feel like this is the realistic part, that of course nothing is going to stop it until it becomes the point where it is bad publicity nationwide or worldwide.
Yes.
And then suddenly, now people start to start acting right and go by the book and so on. Because what really restrains the operation of the police and the justice system is not the law, but perception of the law, perception of justice. And it only works as long as people believe it's just and believe it's fair. So you threaten that enough.
So if you get that it's only once you've gotten it to that, escalated it to that certain level. And like, as we heard in the last chapter, they succeeded in that way. It was indeed known worldwide.
Yep.
So
this
in
is
some ways that acts as almost like a shield for it, as long as it's got worldwide attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess having the curse happen every year is a convenient way of having the world's attention keep focusing on your town and not letting it fall out of the news cycle.
Yep. This is also maybe a good point to mention a thing that we discovered between episodes.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Where we learned a little bit about the Sanrizuka struggle.
Yes, please, by all means, go on about this.
Yeah, basically, when the Narita International Airport was being built, there was a huge conflict starting in the mid-late 1960s and lasting until effectively the present day,
Yeah.
where a bunch of folks in farming villages weren't really consulted when it came to whether the airport should be located on their land or not, and decided they'd prefer not to. And then, of course, students and left-wing organizations and so on, in the protest atmosphere of the 60s, got involved, and it blew up into a whole thing. Mass protests, police violence, media attention all over the place, and they didn't want to have to use eminent domain by that point because it would just make it look worse.
Right.
So they eventually had to just kind of build the airport around some guys.
Right, because there are still people that to this day have not given up their land.
Yep.
Which was the context that you first showed it to me in.
Yep.
And in a short documentary about one of those, the son of one of those original protesters who is still living on their farm surrounded by Narita Airport.
Yep.
It's also why in the future, when they came to build the next big international airport, they just built it out on the water instead.
Yep, made an artificial island because that would be a lot easier than trying to go through this massive debacle again.
Yeah, which admittedly is was a cool like engineering project, but also like that's the reason for it because it made more sense than trying to do this whole thing over again.
Yep. Anyway, that is almost certainly part of the cultural background to what's being portrayed
Yeah,
here.
as soon as you found that, I was like, that's absolutely part of the important narrative being formed here. Is that like that's definitely behind some of the... Is that a Yamaha sign?
Sure is.
That says Yamaha. It straight up says Yamaha. All right. Moving along. Day after day, the petitions and demonstrations continued. Propaganda was used to help garner support. The circle of support gradually expanded outwards from Hinamizawa. Either that bore fruit or the government finally decided against it. It was announced that the dam project was indefinitely suspended just a few years ago.
We did everything we could. The entire village banded together and fought. At that time, we were desperate, but now that it's over, it's actually become a pretty good memory. The villagers' feelings of solidarity and unity still haven't faded.
What about that curse, huh?
What
Shion
curse?
said that as she focused off into the distance. I felt those eyes weren't filled with anguish, but rather a sense of pride. That kind of solidarity is pretty nice. You don't see it too often, bridging the generation gap and unifying the region.
I think so too. The dam project was a trial. I think that just the fact we were able to overcome it is huge.
But they haven't overcome it. Unless things are very different, it's still be under consideration. It's just been postponed, put to the side. It hasn't been dropped. That's an important distinction there, is that part of the reason that the curse seemed so necessary was because it kept the project, the proposal at bay indefinitely, or at least as long as they could keep the curse going, because the circumstances weren't changing. If they just fight one battle, then let it fade to the background, then all it takes is time, and the government can bring it back up again.
True.
The fear I was feeling until just now gradually began to fade. When people began to show up one after another while I was engaged with those thugs, I thought it was frightening. But now I felt from the bottom of my heart that I had been rude. The villagers prepared to defend their homeland to the death. The sense of solidarity that fostered. It might seem impudent to say this, but I was a little jealous. If I had been in Hinamizawa when the protest against the dam was going on, I might have been able to share in that sense of solidarity. And again, I think the villagers' sense of solidarity is a convenient narrative that kind of belies what is actually motivating them here, which I still believe is pressure from the Sonozaki family.
Keiichi, you weren't here at the time, so I don't think you can fully feel the solidarity in the village, but everybody shares it, thoroughly. Even with somebody who just moved here like you, Keiichi.
She couldn't have been more right. So many people got together to help me out when I just moved here, even though they were strangers whose names I didn't even know. A hot feeling began welling up inside me. When I lived in the city, I didn't even know my own neighbors. I thought that was natural, but here that was an absurd and pathetic thing. Even though I thought of them as strangers, All the other villagers viewed me as a comrade. Happiness and warmth, I was acutely aware of those feelings as they gradually welled up inside me.
Sonozaki-san, the manager wants you to work the floor.
A more senior waitress waved her hand and called out to Shion. Seemed like it was time for work.
Okay, I'm coming. Sorry, looks like I have to get to work now.
It's fine. Thank you for hanging out with me. It was fun.
Oh, are you going home?
Yeah, my mom gets fussy if I'm not home by dinner time. Seeing that Shion wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words. Like we hadn't talked enough, that kind of feeling. Looking at that expression, I regretted saying something that had disappointed Mion like that. So I had to say I could stay for a little bit longer when Shion got up from her seat.
Here, if you use the coupon, it should cover the pancakes as well.
Saying that, she showed me a coupon booklet as she tore out a few sheets and handed them to me.
Convenient, isn't it? It's a perk I get on top of my salary.
It's okay, I can pay for the pancakes myself.
Hey, being so reserved doesn't fit you, Kei-chan. If I were my sister, you would have gladly let me pay for it.
She said as she laughed, gently stopping me from opening my wallet. Being told so with such an encouraging smile really resounded with me.
Sonozaki-san, sorry, could you take care of the register? Ah, yes, right away.
Later, today was fun. Oh.
Later, today was fun.
Saying that, Shion smiled one more time at me. Oh, Mion, thanks a lot for today. I owe you one.
If you really think that, then return the favor. I'm looking forward to it.
She stopped correcting him at this point. After I said it, I realized I mistakenly called her Mion. I didn't know if she realized it or not. So, does Shion think she's next in line, then, for the curse this year? We don't even know that the curse is actually a thing, but she's doing the same thing Toмотake was doing up in preceding the Watanagashi, where she's, like, she's feeling very acutely aware that something seems to be on the horizon.
Yeah, seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
Trying to get Keiichi in her court, trying to be like, hey, if it's between me and my sis, wouldn't you like to defend me? I'm way nicer, and you should, and I helped you out this time, and...
Yeah. So maybe interesting. So then that's the question, like, was it Shion or... I'm beginning to think either Shion or Mion were definitely the sixth conspirator.
Interesting.
Yeah, the main instigator, as it were. Because who else would everyone flock around, huh? Who else has that ability other than the Sonozakis? And given that their corpses would appear to be the same, I could see why it might be important for her to be like, not me, not me. Then again, if I was aware of that, wouldn't I want to make sure that we were differentiated somehow?
Are they differentiated somehow?
Yes. Remember Mion's huge Yakuza back tat? You know, the one she got while she was doing time?
Yeah, you know, the normal thing that middle school kids have.
The normal thing that middle school kids work jobs for. Okay? Either that or like just like some other way of being like, no, this, you know, you can't, sorry, I've made it so you can't make a scapegoat out of me.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if there were some way that we just didn't know.
Although that seems really difficult now because, like, wait, they don't have any, like, I'm trying to think of what else you could use, like piercings or something, but because they still leave like a hole, like even an autopsy would see that there's the piercing there.
Supernumerary digit.
Yeah, something like. Well, I mean, if they're identical twins, then presumably it wouldn't make a difference. Because really, you just have to like. What else could you do to hard alter the presence of your body?
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, not a whole lot. Even dyeing your hair wouldn't really be enough because that can just dye it again.
Yep.
Right. It'd have to be something permanent and not able to be taken away. Like, and if you're not willing to cut off an ear for it, then... Ugh. Lazing around and watching television after dinner was part of my daily routine. Might seem like a waste at a first glance, but You could say it was an important time when I was able to accrue knowledge of everything from politics to economics to various trivia. After dinner was valuable time well spent while the brain was at its most supplied with nutrients. Go for it.
You idiot. It's obvious that Tokyo Tower is taller. Ah!
Today I tested my knowledge of trivia by watching my weekly quiz show.
Oh no, that is Keiichi.
To be fair, I was also this kid when I was in middle school, watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and getting yelling at the contestants for not getting the questions right. Oh, you idiot! It's obvious Tokyo Tower's taller. Ah! Today I tested my knowledge of trivia by watching my weekly quiz show. Sitting in front of the television, I was able to get a lot of the answers right. But if I were actually up on stage, I'd probably fail miserably.
It really shattered my illusion when I realized that quiz shows did not, in fact, select who would be on them by who was the most effective possible trivia answerer.
Right, because why would they?
But upon who would give a good show, and a good show implies that a majority of folks don't make it all the way through the thing.
Exactly.
I only really put that together, I think maybe last year or the year before.
Yeah, it was it's not good business for the people we invite on to always win the show.
It's just so unfair.
I mean, I think the dynamic might be something different on Jeopardy, where they can leverage that with some contestants, being you're the returning winner. But that is also its own angle to draw people in.
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't really work on a show like Millionaire, where you're one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is his family.
Keiichi, phone call from Sonozaki-san.
Which one?
You know.
All right. Sonozaki? That's Mion. It's a little late for her to be calling. I had a bad feeling about this. I had a hunch it was something to do with club activities. She's probably going to inform me about what we were doing tomorrow. This was Mion we're talking about. She might even go so far as to say we're doing club activities right now, so hurry up and come over. By the way, it was 8 p.m. Hello. No way we're having a club battle right now.
Huh? That's not it. I mean...
It was Mion, but it was a very un-Mion-like way of talking. Could it be? Sorry, could it be you're not Mion, but Shion?
That's right. Good evening. I'm sorry for calling so late.
For Mion, this would have been an ill-fittingly polite way of talking, but since it was Shion, it was natural. Even though they were both the same person. With a dry smile, I enjoyed that mysterious feeling. No, it's fine. What's up?
Kei-chan, do you like sweets, like cakes or desserts?
There was no way I hated them. I am an unabashed glutton.
That's great. Actually, there's a new dessert contest this summer.
Looks like they have a new dessert menu every season. So they are hiring taste testers for potential desserts.
The desserts at Angel Mort have a good reputation. It's pretty difficult to get accepted as a taste tester. I'll get right to the point. Ta-da!
You say ta-da, but I can't see over the phone. Still, could it be?
That's right. I have a taste testing ticket right here. If you don't mind sweets, how about it?
Hear me out. I feel like that's the thing I could have done as a kid, but definitely could not do with my palate now.
Yeah, because the sweets are too sweet?
Because sweets are just too much. I still enjoy sweets, but as I've gotten older, having so much sweetness...
Yeah.
Like the straight up sugary, candy bar sweetness, right? It's just, I can't handle it the same way I could as a kid, where, that's all you crave.
Yeah. When I was a kid, dark chocolate was actively disgusting to me.
And now it's
now that I'm an adult, it's I can't eat the milk chocolate Hershey's bar. It tastes like it fell in a pile of
sugar.
sucrose.
Right? Even when I'm making some recipes and stuff, I'll be like, you want me to put that much sugar in it? Are you crazy? It's because you come to appreciate sweetness as just one among many tastes and not just the predominant taste, right? And it's... I don't know. I find sweetness in banana pancakes. What do you say, how about it? You basically mean, with that ticket I can eat all the new desserts I want? They say to beware of honeypots, but this was sweeter than any pot of honey. And all you can eat free dessert? No way.
If you're okay with that, I'll register you as a taste tester. When you come to the restaurant tomorrow, just give the person in charge your name.
A big assumption there when you come to the restaurant tomorrow.
Which you will be doing.
She's definitely trying to get him to spend less time with Mion in the circle of friends, huh? It really seems like it's coming down to one of us is going to wind up dying on the Watanagashi, and guess what? Keiichi's gonna apparently have some sway in that?
Then everything will work out.
When you say everything will work out, do you mean all you can eat? For free?
Yeah, it's free. There's quite a bit, so I recommend you come hungry.
Oh. I always come hungry. I don't know why that's the first thing that popped into my mind, and it doesn't even make sense when I've said it out loud, but... This was such a delectable opportunity, it was almost scary. This really was Shion, right? It wasn't Mion posing as Shion in order to bait me into a trap, was it? What am I saying? They're the same person. Yeah,
I love how he's constantly spiraling about whether or not they're the same person.
Right.
It's like constantly insisting,
Yes,
they're the same person, and then being like, no, they're different people, and being like, yes, they're the same person.
And there's that thing again where he asked and got a direct answer, yes, I have a sister, and proceeded to completely ignore it in favor of this thing he's made up. Keiichi, you gotta stop doing that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking, Kei-chan. You're thinking this is too good to be true, right?
I mean, I would never.
I heard from my sister, but you're really somebody who can't tell a lie. I'm not averse to somebody like that.
Shion laughed with a voice that sounded a lot like how Mion would laugh.
It's not like I was intending on it, but it just so happens that my shift ends early tomorrow. If it's not a bother, I thought maybe we could spend a little time together after I'm done.
Your shift ends early tomorrow?
Yeah. So while you take your time eating dessert, I'll finish up.
Well, I didn't have any plans anyway. I don't mind hanging out with you for a bit.
It's not like we have to go anywhere. I was thinking we could cool off in the evening while we take a walk.
There was no reason for me to refuse. Out of courtesy, I might as well take her up on her offer.
By the way, Kei-chan, you and I have been meeting up every day, haven't we?
Now that you say it, I guess we have.
Since you said okay, we have an excuse to meet again tomorrow.
Huh? What was Mion saying?
Kei-chan, your voice just cracked. What's the matter?
It wasn't a video phone, but she could tell I was beat red. Oh my god, video phones. Oh, I was gonna say I'm so glad those aren't a thing, but
I believe you will find you are so equipped right now.
Yeah. I mean, but video phone with the connotation of having to sit in front of a screen with a handheld receiver, which is still basically what we got. But I'm saying when the past imagined the future, it was with a video phone booth, okay? That's the kind of thing I'm dreading. I still dread the fact that we are expected to have these things on hand at all times. Ugh.
Well then, you should definitely come tomorrow. I'll take my leave here. Good night.
Good night. Shion finished with what she had called to say, ended the conversation without any chit-chat. Imagine that. When I returned to the living room after hanging up the phone, the TV was already off and my mom was sleeping in the rocking chair. Not feeling like turning it back on, I went upstairs and returned to my room. Only been receiving favors from Shion, haven't I? She brought me a bento, saved me when I got involved with those thugs. She was supposed to be a different person so I could thank Mion at school. When I think of it, she'd probably just say she'll pass it on to her sister. I have to thank Shion directly. Tomorrow I'll have to repay her somehow. Sorry, I'm enjoying the... I do appreciate the music.
It's good.
Actually, I haven't brought it up yet, but it's making a huge difference in how we... The achievement we just got is called Mob Mentality. Get rescued.
And it's got a bunch of silhouettes with creepy slasher smiles on them.
Love it. Oh, hey, it's the police. Details of the Delinquent 3.
Just why you arresting us? Bullshit, let go of me.
Well, hey now, Kuma-chan, you can let go of their arms now. Here, please sit down. Oh, Kuma-chan. They're secretly going to be behind everything. Secret Mastermind Kuma-chan comes back in EP7 with a steel chair. The three people rub their arms painfully. Kumagai-kun and the others must have been squeezing them pretty tightly. Now, don't get me wrong here. I ain't arrested you or nothing. Kuma-chan, go get me something cold from the fridge, if you please. Do you like your barley with foam or without? Huh? They plunked down onto the reception sofa, and despite not yelling anymore, still had dangerous expressions. Oh, what I'd give to be young again. I'll drink even if you don't, you know. Excuse me for helping myself. Beer is best when you drink it on the job. As he downed the beer with glee, the three people exchanged glances, then finally reached out for their cans. They hadn't stopped being cautious. It was more like they didn't see a reason to refuse. They each opened their cans and began to drink the contents. Now, where you guys come from now? You ain't from round here. They looked at each other again, suspicious of whether they should tell him. Are y'all college students or friends on a trip, huh? You were probably traveling on bikes or something. Sounds like fun I wish I was having. You don't live close by now, do you? Where did you come from? Osaka, perhaps?
What's it matter to you?
Now, no use trying to intimidate me. You would have all been in a lot of trouble if I left you there now, right? They seemed to recall the thrilling event from earlier. While they could understand getting surrounded by the students or a gang, something along those lines, they would never have been surrounded by locals, both young and old, both men and women, before.
Hinamizawa was hungry.
Hinamizawa was hungry. It was easy to imagine how scared they must have been. If you were from here, the people at Hinamizawa wouldn't have done nothing to you, no matter what you'd done wrong. They're all special like that. Not in the sense of parents not wanting to get involved in their children's fights. If one person gets bullied, the village will come out in full force. It's not just an idle threat, you know. They couldn't argue against that. They themselves had been surrounded. They'd seen it with their own eyes. There was no doubt about it. Around these parts, the people at Hinamizawa will give you a glare like that, you will simply get demoned away, and ain't no one will ever hear from you again. You'll suddenly disappear without a trace. You'll have families that would get the police to search for you if you went missing. If not, then that's pretty bad now. You'll vanish, and that'll be the end of it. Interesting. So this sounds different from how the disappearances are structured in Chapter 1. Which, again, kind of leans into my theory that from Chapter 1 that the disappearances weren't really what they were trying to go with. Remember that the disappearances seemed to be an unfortunate coincidence that kind of got, by popular opinion, added on as part of the curse, and it wasn't really the part that the people making the curse were attached to.
Perhaps so.
So, the fact that being demoned away appears to be in a different context in this one doesn't strike me as that odd, if the differences are going that far back.
I love Oishi's implication here that it's like, why are you guys trying to intimidate me? I am the reason you are still breathing right now.
Right? It's like, what are you hoping to accomplish here? Come on now. Even then, we got there soon enough that nothing happened. If we'd been late, things could have taken a turn for the worse. They've been forced into an alleyway. These young men wouldn't be sitting on a couch right now. They might be lying on an autopsy table. Well, probably not. Anyway, perhaps they'd be a little more cooperative if we'd found them as corpses, yeah? How did you all get to Okonomiya? By train, by bike?
Bike.
Well, that ain't good now. They're still parked over there, ain't they? You go waltzing in to get them back, they really might gang up on you.
Hell's that? We'll take them all.
Calm down, calm down. Why are young people these days so quick with all the shouting? You don't want any more trouble now, right? Well, tell me the bike license plate numbers. I'll bring them here for you. Kuma-chan, please borrow the loading truck we use for traffic disasters.
Got it. It's fine. We'll get them ourselves.
You really want to get surrounded again? The police may not be fast enough to save you this time.
It's fine, innit? If we surrounded, they're gonna get knocked down.
Hey, you three. You're drinking the barley with foam, right? Try turning your engines on. I'll arrest you on the spot for drunk driving.
You. That's fucking dirty.
Your tax dollars will be put to good use in bringing all your bikes back here. Quit complaining and tell me the goddamn license plate numbers, you fucking pieces of shit. The three were hesitant to tell him the numbers. They were mumbling something along the lines of not remembering them since they just bought them. Well, that's what I thought. Kuma-chan, go with the truck and bring their bikes back here. Get the tough-looking red Yamaha, the one with the broken right taillight, and the white one that had packing tape stuck to the seat. It's those ones. They belong to y'all, right? They didn't answer. Those must be the right ones.
I love that we're seeing Oishi in action here.
Yeah, like, she's pissed.
He is tack sharp, and the affable, aw shucks, let's go get a drink together atmosphere is absolutely deliberate.
Yeah, like that's very much his way, his weapon of choice.
He already knows everything that is going on here and just wants to get them to admit it and go along with him. And if they don't, so much the worse for them.
Right. Oh.
Oishi-san, the truck is here, so I'll get going.
Yeah, please do now. Oh, wait, Kuma-chan, hold on now. One more thing.
What's up?
Look up them numbers. You don't want to bring the wrong ones back now. The three people's faces changed color. They made themselves very easy to understand. Let's take it easy here until your bikes get back. There's more beer, you know. We have some snacks, too. Want to watch some television? Ain't nothing on, though.
Nah, thanks. We's leaving. Don't want to hang around here forever.
Suddenly, there were 5 or 6 huge officers surrounding them. Their clearly overpowering stares nailed them to the sofa.
What? What'd we do?
Going on a trip by stealing motorcycles, huh? Going on a trip by stealing motorcycles, huh? Students these days got too much time on their hands. Now, this is also interesting because it seems like Oishi is happily... Well... I was going to say happily doing the Sonozaki's dirty work like he accused the police of doing in the last one. But also the case seems to be about them stealing bikes from somewhere else, which seems unrelated.
Yeah, it seems to be a happy coincidence, potentially, that the folks that Shion wanted out of the picture also happen to be guilty of something that seems to not be connected to that incident.
Yeah, it's funny how that always seems to happen, huh? Like how the guy confesses while being charged for a different incident, huh? Oh, funny how that always seems to happen. Either way, it's strange that Oishi seems to be playing his part happily here. It's like something didn't happen that made him want to change course. You know, something like maybe his wife didn't get moited.
Interesting theory.
Remember that was still my long shot theory, right? That his wife was the housewife murder. Yeah. I don't know, but something definitely seems materially different that made Oishi not want to rock the boat here. Just quietly take his pension in coming year. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
I knew we wouldn't be doing club activities after school today before Mion even said anything. I'd been invited over by Shion for an all-you-can-eat dessert. I made a point of leaving half my lunch uneaten. My expectations would only be rivaled by my hunger.
Keiichi-kun, you seem kinda happy today. Did something good happen? Did it?
I guess it was obvious. Rena had questioned me with a happy look. That's right, why don't I invite Rena for a dessert as well? If I recall correctly, Shion said something about having a ticket. I wish the restaurant might be admission by ticket only today. If that was the case, then having Rena be turned away at the door would result in the worst feeling ever. Yeah, I got a little lucky. I'll tell you about it tomorrow, alright? Rena, you'll definitely be jealous.
Whoa. What is it? I'm jealous. This lucky thing. Is it cute? Is it?
Cute? I wonder what Rena would think of the uniforms at Angel Mort. They'd definitely be a critical hit! Probably. It's probably pretty cute.
What? I'm jelly. What is it? What kind of fortune were you blessed with, huh? Could it be you participated in the draw at Angel Mort about 2 months ago and won?
Hey, now, I haven't even transferred here 2 months ago.
Oh, that's right. Then it's not the Angel's Dessert Festa then. Mi-chan, what is the Angel's Dessert Festa exactly? You know, there's that family restaurant called Angel Mort right by Okinomiya Station.
I think it's clear by now that the Sonozaki's use of terms to describe their businesses is very much Yakuza doublespeak. Like, yeah, this is a family restaurant, not a maid cafe.
A family restaurant, as in my family owns this restaurant.
Exactly. I think we can be very clear that when Mion's sharing that kind of thing, that she knows what she's doing with the doublespeak here.
Every season, they hold an event to promote their new dessert menu.
And it is the one right by Okonomiya Station.
Yep.
Oh, funny how... Didn't we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's today. Oh, it's no use going. The restaurant is reserved for people who won the draw.
Mion explained once again what Shion explained to me last night.
Rena will have to stop by the restaurant sometime. I'll do my best to draw a winning ticket and aim to enter the next all-you-can-eat event. Ha ha ha. Knock yourself out. By the way, this is just something I heard, but there's a rumor that the tickets are being sold on the black market for a pretty penny.
Hearing that story, I felt even more appreciative of the ticket that Shion had procured for me. I just thought I was lucky to be able to eat dessert for free, but turned out the ticket was much more valuable. The number of things I had to thank Shion for had increased again. Thank you, I didn't know it was worth so much. I whispered in a voice only Mion could hear. That was how I conveyed my feelings. Mion looked at me for a moment before she tilted her head to the side and smiled confusedly.
Huh? What? Did you say something?
It would be a problem if you said something to me right now. That smile seemed to be telling me as much. Yeah, because you're great at reading faces, Keiichi. Everyone else can do it, but you can't, apparently. I guess Mion wouldn't be accepting any gratitude while she was Mion. I'll go to the restaurant. Today I'll thank Mion while she's Shion.
Well then, this old man will take his leave here. The work today is going to be a little rough. Later.
Mion waved her hand energetically as she left.
Hey, Keiichi-kun. Mi-chan has been kinda weird lately. Like she's elated or something.
Oh, what? You think so? Rena was pretty sharp when it came to these types of things. To me, Mion seemed the same as always, but Rena apparently felt something different.
You don't know, Keiichi-kun. I totally thought you knew.
Rena's skirt fluttered as she spun around with a coy smile. Skirt go spinny, spinny. Trance detected.
Skirt go spinny.
No, what exactly? I was obviously weaseling my way out of the question, but I wasn't lying. Honestly, I didn't really know what was going on. Why did Shion, a persona of Mion that she'd created, appear before me? Something was blatantly up, but Rena paid it no heed. Oh, really? I wonder what it is then. When Mi-chan is in a good mood, so is Rena. Oh.
Oh, really? I wonder what it is then. When Mi-chan is in a good mood, so is Rena. Ha ha.
Saying that, she spread her arms wide and spun around happily. Spinny, spinny! I'm right about this. I'm absolutely right about this. Fight me in the comments. I didn't know why, but Rena was in a really good mood. It was so infectious that I had to smile too. Even the chirping of the cicadas seemed joyful. Whoa! I don't know if it was meant to be that uncomfortable.
But you see...
Rena abruptly stopped spinning. Her expression had returned to a more somber one.
You see, Mi-chan, lately, she's been in a lot of pain.
What do you mean, pain? The pain that Rena was talking about probably wasn't physical.
Compound fracture.
Oh, never mind. It was physical. From what? So, can we sidebar real quick here about Rena's axe?
Yeah.
That isn't an axe. My understanding of that entire scene in Chapter 1 was radically altered when you showed me the CG for it in the console version.
Yeah, we went back and looked at the Onikakushi CGs.
Yeah, and the axe that Rena carries around, as is it's like in my head, I'm imagining like a wood axe, a chopping axe, like something that it wouldn't be terribly unreasonable to see someone in a rural setting have. But no, that's not what it's depicted as. It's a fucking cleaver.
It's like a cleaver or machete. You might have something like that if you needed to like chop down a bunch of bamboo or something.
Yeah, okay, but there's a difference between a machete and a cleaver that has the capacity to act as an axe. A machete chops bamboo, chops brush. A machete does not chop down lumber. There is a difference there. A machete would be one thing. A wood axe would be one thing. That's not that. What the fuck?
But
that changes the entire tenor of that scene for me.
I bought this one because it's more cute.
Okay. All right. I just needed to get that out there while we're talking about Rena, because it just, I don't know that it changes my mind about anything, but it was important that I mentioned that, because it very much changes how I would have appraised the scene.
So now you can just fill in that in any scene where you're seeing Rena around town, she's brandishing a massive blade at all times.
God, she's a swordy in the fighting game, isn't she?
At first, she tried to pretend it wasn't a big deal, but like a wound, it began to fester and grow. Eventually, she was no longer able to bear the pain and woke up in the middle of the night. And then she phoned Rena. Michan was crying.
I'm sorry. What are you talking about?
What am I talking about, huh? What is Rena talking about? What?
Hey, don't play dumb like that. Just now you said...
I don't know. Rena doesn't know anything.
So Mion also seems to feel like she's about to die. Or one of her or her sister.
I don't know anything. No thoughts, head empty.
Yeah, I don't believe you, Rena, but, Rena spun as she laughed innocently. Eventually, she appeared to get sick, stumbling as she steadied herself with her hand against the wall.
The room is spinning.
Well, that was dumb. That's what you get for getting carried away and spinning like that.
Sorry. I think I feel sick.
Rena? What is your deal?
What deal?
What is your deal?
My deal is I'm normal.
I see. That's how this is.
There's nothing weird about Rena.
I don't believe that, but all right.
Nothing weird.
Nothing. Yeah, of course. I'll lend the dit's a shoulder to lean on. To be stumbling around like a newborn foal at this age is actually quite a feat. Rena, in a good mood, only babbled incoherently after that. I laughed as I responded to and chided her. However, the chance to revisit that heavy topic Rena brought up before never arrived. Maybe she confided in Rena that she was going to die and then said, okay, but shit, don't say anything about it. And now Rena has no idea what to do because she just has to deal with that fact. She just has to, I have this information, but I can't share it with you. I can't share it with Keiichi, my best friend. So it's instead I'm just going to spin until I puke because at least I can control that, right?
This is a valid coping tactic.
Yeah, it's coping. It's cope. That's exactly what it is. Oh, man. So many things are just weird. What are we? Do we want to do another one? Do we want to keep this episode going?
Do we?
Yeah, I kind of do. I'm not
Let's
ready
do
to
it.
call it. I'm not ready to. I enjoy our time here in Hinamizawa so much. We recorded 4 episodes in 2 days. As soon as I got home, I tossed aside my school bag and changed in a hurry. The effects of only having a light lunch were starting to show. My stomach began to let out fickle growls. All right, let's go to Angel Mort, the Angel of Death. It's time to face the land of endless desert. Preparations for battle are complete. Tally-ho! Preparations for battle? Doing some war photography? Oh, I can't unsee the Toyota in the reflection. That clearly shows that the photo was reflected because I could just read. Oh, no! Angel Mort had a decidedly different feel to it compared to yesterday. Dessert Festa today, admittance by reservation only. Nonetheless, the front of the store was being swarmed by over a dozen young men. Judging by how they were looking upwards in jealousy instead of entering the store, they weren't invitees. Why would they gather here if they knew they couldn't get in? I found out the answer when I passed through the crowd and began to climb the steps to enter the restaurant.
Are you a participant? Do you have a ticket?
Yeah, well, I was lucky. As soon as I said that, I was immediately mobbed. Like being in the middle of a football scrum on a crowded train. What is going on? Their reason was thus. It wasn't just 1 ticket per person. 1 ticket could let up to 4 people inside. Oh, so it's like that, huh? Seems like I should have invited Rena and the others. Well, thank you for the tip, but I'll pretend I didn't hear that. With an uplifting smile, I turned and ignored them. When I did, their arms all reached out to me at once like the souls of the damned seeking succor.
That ticket can admit up to 4 people. Please bring us with you.
What selfish people. This was the only reason they were crowded in front of the restaurant. Dozens of wretched arms reached out for me like the teeth on a giant rake and grasped the air. I was already climbing the stairs to the entrance.
What a heartless dick. Grab him.
This isn't something to joke about. I flew up the rest of the stairs and threw myself inside the restaurant, like I had entered a different world. The miserable throng of the damned hurled curses at me from the other side of the glass door, but inside of this completely soundproofed and air-conditioned restaurant, with the angelic smile of a waitress to welcome me, they were nothing more than a refreshing piece of scenery. I knew that I shouldn't laugh, but as it began to let out a sinister cackle.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Angel Mort. Due to today's dessert fest, the restaurant is reserved for customers who won the draw. Could I ask for your name and ticket?
I don't have a ticket, but I should be on the guest list. Maebara?
Maebara. There it is. I'm sorry, but may I please have your full name?
Keiichi Maebara.
My apologies for the inconvenience. You're here by special invitation, right? I'll show you to your seat.
Making sure it's not his dad.
What if?
I mean, she had to ask for the full name.
Yep.
There might have been another Maebara on there.
He sits down and sees his dad in the booth
And
across
like-
the way, and they make eye contact and then are like,
I pretend I don't see it. I pretend I don't see it.
let's never speak of this again.
We shall never speak of this again. The mood inside the room was incredibly heated. The booths were packed to the brim. Men in their prime were stuffing their faces with dainty desserts that didn't suit them at all. It was a rather unnerving spectacle. Soon after I was shown to my seat, Shion arrived.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Angel Mort.
Hey Shion, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it.
You were a bit late, so I was getting worried. I'm really happy you came, though.
May have been because her other customers were around it that her tone was less casual, but she still capped off that welcome with her usual brilliant smile.
As you can see, there's a lot of customers here today. I'm not sure I'll be able to take a break. Please take your time and relax until I'm finished. When I'm done, let's go play somewhere, okay?
Whispering just that last part into my ear, Shion winked and returned to the kitchen. There's another reading of this where she's just, someone working at a maid cafe who's aggressively following her mark and making sure they come back. Right? There's another reading of this where Shion's just that good at her job. Then again, which I would believe, except for the fact that she has not asked Keiichi to spend money.
Yeah, she's done the exact opposite and paid for everything.
See, that's the thing is that like, if that was her game plan, she would not have given Keiichi so many things for free. There would have been, asked him to spend money at some point. Whispering just that last part into my ear, she winked and returned to the kitchen. Maybe it was because the mood in the restaurant was so heated, but Shion seemed a bit bolder. Even a small change in her mannerisms was enough to set my heart aflutter. Good news is that because they were located in Okonomiya, they didn't get caught up in the Akiba Maid War. That would happen like a decade or two later.
Oh, that anime had no right to be as fun as it was.
I know that, for such a silly show, it was a solid 8 out of 10 IMHO. I was like, why? You went so hard on this. You didn't need to. It's... Anyway, I guess watch Akiba Maid War is the takeaway here.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
While I was overwhelmed by the atmosphere inside the restaurant, orders from the new summer menu were carried out one after another. Every single one was extravagantly huge. I get it, you can eat all these amazing things for free. No wonder a ticket was worth its weight in gold. Yeah, but I mean, if it's meeting its purported purpose, the purported purpose is to test the new menu.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so if that's what they're doing, they're probably going to be like, and here's a sheet to kind of rank things out, what about what dishes you liked and what you didn't. Or is it just to help develop their customer base?
Mm-hmm.
The rankings don't matter, they've already decided on their menu. And it's like, by creating this atmosphere of exclusivity, we've ensured that we've,
that everyone's going to be talking about this for ages.
Right, and going to want to come back and stuff. Which one could it be? On top of that, all of it was plenty delicious. Was it? We've heard that the food is aggressively average.
Yeah.
From dishes with general appeal to insane ones aimed at a specific audience, there are absolutely no gaps in their repertoire. No matter how you look at it, I don't think one person can eat this much. Well, let's just leave it at that for now. It didn't feel relaxing in here at all, probably because the fervor inside the restaurant was clearly abnormal. All the other booth seats were crammed with groups of 4. Sleazy men were gorging like pigs on cutely decorated desserts, and it wouldn't have been a surprise if they started licking the plates. It was more than a little unsettling. It piqued my interest, so I started listening in on their conversation, and what things I heard.
Angel Mort, so moi.
Me, I bought my ticket for 70,000 odd redacted auctions.
I told work that I was attending a relative's funeral. The uniforms here are the greatest.
Oh, I wonder if the waitress would wipe it for me if I spilled some water on my pants, right? Meow. Meow, meow.
I heard they're planning on selling Angel Mort figures. We'll have to pay heed at the next event.
Speaking of which, that major figure maker decided to bring out the line. We must confirm the release date.
The problem is there's too many variations to bulk buy them. If it were just a normal set of family restaurant uniforms, there'd only be around 10 types. But including the secret set with different poses that are planned, there's 100 or so.
Oh, someone trade with me when I get a double. It's my duty as a fan to complete the collection right away. No, this is destiny between us. The words spilling out of their mouths were pretty much all incomprehensible jargon. But they still keenly conveyed that hidden behind them was an invisible aura of abnormality.
Sorry to keep you waiting. The next dessert is Tropical Cinnamon Love Affair. Is something the matter?
Oh, no. It's just, kind of different inside the restaurant today, huh?
Our restaurant is pretty famous in their circles. Well, we were aiming for that, so it's all well and good. But during festas, there's something of the more hardcore crowd, so it can be a handful.
The waitress informed me quietly with a wry smile. Customers seem rather riled up, almost like a pack of hyenas.
Seems a lot of the customers today came from unreasonably far away. Those types of people are fairly prone to losing their self-control, so it's a little scary. If you don't keep your guard up, something bad can happen.
Yeah, because when you're like, there's that line, right? Like that not that line, that sense of danger that comes with the customer sense of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, you are selling access to basically look at a pretty girl serve you food.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good. If that's how you can make money, and you want to do that, cool. You have my support. But the danger with that comes because you're making money by allowing people that level of access, people then get the idea that, but then that means it's okay to go for more. And when you are the person that is, you and your body is what is being sold as the attraction here, that can it can approach that line really, really quickly. He's like, no, I'm okay with showing off my body to make tips and to do this stuff and being flirtatious and getting money from men that way, but then also expose yourself to the danger of being in front of a crowd who might and will take that too far.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I fully believe that's an that's a huge risk in this kind of work. What does she mean by keep your guard up? At that moment, a large crash resounded through the room. I turned around startled to see that a waitress had fallen down and spilled the order she was carrying right onto a customer. Wait, isn't that Shion?
I'm so sorry. Your food is,
Oh, what have you done? The jeans I bought at a certain specialty shop for full 1,800 yen are all sticky with frosting. What the hell is that? For someone who just met with disaster, he seems awfully happy. How tragic. Seems little Miss Waitress here will have to wipey it up from the bottom of her heart.
The conversation suddenly veered off in an odd direction. Hey, what did he say? Wipey? Did he want Shion to wipe him down? I also appreciate the way that this game frames this kind of behavior from Keiichi's perspective as objectively what the fuck?
yeah.
As exactly as creepy and weird as it is. Right over that obviously aberrant tent he had pitched over his crotch?
But that is,
Wipey.
The wipey chant quickly spread throughout the room. Totally cornered, Shion went pale. She looked over to a more experienced waitress for help, but was only met with a head shaking out of pity.
Sonozaki-san was tripped. Customers who do that to purposefully get their clothes dirty have been on the rise lately.
Oh, she's saying she was tripped, huh? That what happened just now wasn't an accident? It was on purpose?
The regular girls are careful about it, so they definitely won't end up like that, but Sonozaki-san is only a seasonal hire, so she had her guard down. The customers today could easily pick up on that, so she's been targeted since this morning.
What is the manager doing? You should just kick those thugs out.
We're in the service industry, so there's not much we can do about it.
She laughed as she said that in a resigned tone. Shion trembled uncontrollably with a dishcloth in her hands as she turned bright red. The man who had been doused in frosting splayed out on the bench, putting ice cream covered tent over his crotch on full display. Not even fucking hiding that he's got a throbbing erect. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is, the music isn't helping, is what I'll say here.
Do.
Still mentally unprepared, her trembling hand inched forward, goaded on by onlookers.
Come. It's time for the wipey.
From my male point of view, it might have been a ridiculous spectacle I could just smile wryly at, but from a woman's point of view, this was obviously pure humiliation. When I was trapped by those thugs and had been paralyzed with fear, Shion fearlessly stood up to them and saved me. Still, as humiliating as it was, Shion was also partly to blame for this. It wasn't as though her life was at stake, right? Even these guys, they're just going to jeer at her a bit in front of a lewd situation. It's not like they're going to eat her alive or anything. It'd be alright if I just consoled her afterwards.
Even I was scared, but Keiichi was in trouble, so I had to be brave and do my best.
When I, a man, was being assailed by 3 thugs while paralyzed with fear, Shion saved me without a second thought. What about now? These sleazy, filthy degenerates were trying to pin the blame on Shion. This time our roles were reversed. Hey, Keiichi Maebara, if you don't save her now, when will you be able to repay the debt you owe her? Are you scared, Keiichi Maebara? Now that time Shion, no Mion, didn't even show a hint of hesitation. Then what about now? I'm not hesitating. Then what? If you're not hesitating, then why aren't you helping her?
Now, resign yourself to your fate.
Shut up, you greasy fat ass. Get out of here before I get angry. I grasped Shion's shoulder firmly and pulled her behind me.
Keiichi.
Yonder waitress was the one who wet mine pants. Oh, wait, that's not in quote marks.
Yonder waitress is the one who wet my pants. The one who needs punishing is you.
Oh, the one who needs punishing is you! Enough with the empty words. If you're a man, talk with your fists. Thud smash. My body was lifted into the air like nothing, and I was thrown right back into my own seat. This guy is strong? No matter how you look at it, Athletic and this Lardo aren't even in the same area code.
Many otaku are unexpectedly well versed in some obscure martial art. Don't be misunderestimating us.
The man smirked, showing off his gum line.
Keiichi, are you okay?
Damn it, how lame I must look right now. You were tripped, weren't you, Shion? They're the ones in the wrong here, so don't let them take advantage of you.
That may be, but it was still my fault.
Yeah. And deciding to do this fight while someone's at a job involves this whole other series of things that you as a customer probably don't know about, right? Because, like, it may be that as part of her job, she's expected to deal with certain situations like this in a certain manner. Like, that is part of her job contract. Like, we don't know how she is instructed to deal with these situations.
Oh, one more time, let's do it.
Snap, thud, crash. Don't you go thinking this is enough to make me give up? One more time. Whap, smack, thunk.
You're all talk.
I'm not done yet. Rise my will to fight. Not just running, I planted every one of my steps firmly as I closed the distance to the lard ball. Each time I'd rip my foot off the floor, I could feel my burning spirit flare up from the point of impact. Everything slowed down, like I was walking underwater. As I stepped forward in that viscous flow of time, I calmly measured the gap between us. With our difference in height, reach was my ultimate advantage. There was an ever so tiny distance between us where only my punch would be able to reach. At least my own fist of righteous anger, but it flew towards his face slowly like I was punching underwater. Reacting to that, with a smirk on his face, the fat so easily slipped inside of my punch. I hadn't realized it until now, but in this mired time, I was able to observe his baffling counterattack with almost painful clarity. His arm slowly swung around in a large windmill motion, wrapped around my whiffed punch, and descended in an arc. That arm swung around like the arms of a clock, and came into contact with my head, twisting my upper body around. Dragging my head along, he followed through with another rotation. This time he rotated his entire body like a top, followed by another rotation. Combining defense and offense, it was a brilliant counter. That's right, 3 times. I was thrown after 3 rotations, I think. In this viscous region of time, I was unable to struggle, and I could only wait dumbstruck until the moment I was thrown. The moment I was, that sluggish temporal anomaly abruptly ended. Crash.
You lack training, young man.
I was loath to admit it, but against someone trained in martial arts, I couldn't win through force of will alone. After my consciousness faded in a wave of dizziness, when I came to, I was lying down in my seat.
Thankfully, you weren't injured.
The more experienced waitress wiped the sweat from my brow with a towel. While she was doing that, a red-faced and teary-eyed Shion trudged over.
Are you okay? Doing that all for my sake. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, I wasn't much help. I've never won a fight before.
No, you just trying to help made me happy. I'm not joking. It's just that I was thinking that it was lucky Kei-chan came here today.
As she said that, she struck her tongue out teasingly. She wiped off the whipped cream with the washcloth she was holding in her hands.
Sonozaki-san, you can take your break now. You still have 1 or 2 hours left, don't you? No, it's fine. Even though it's just part-time, it's still a paying job. I want to work properly while I'm on the clock. So really, you don't have to worry about me.
No! Take your paid breaks! Take your paid breaks, no matter what job you're at. If you're paid to take a break, take it. If your boss won't let you, demand to take it. You are not being paid to... If you have a job that is required to give you those breaks, you take them. There is nothing to be gained from working through those breaks. Your boss will not think more highly of you. You will just be working for free for no reason. Anything else you want to add to this tirade?
No, you're correct.
She couldn't even put up a brave front. I would never even think for a second that Mion could be that weak. This was Shion, and she had been harassed by some unreasonable riffraff. That was reality.
Kei-chan, don't mind me. Please eat as much dessert as you can. When you're done, we'll have you fill out a survey. Well then, I've got to get back to the floor.
Okay, so the survey does exist. So maybe it's pulling both things here.
Mm-hmm.
After some consoling words and a sympathetic smile to Shion, the other waitresses started to head back to work. That's where I stopped her. Excuse me, could I borrow your phone?
The phone? It's by the register. I'll show you where.
I pulled a 10-yen coin from my wallet. Wasn't about saving face. My being a worthless coward was an unchangeable fact, but I could just cry myself to sleep about that later tonight. Now was not the time for tears. I had to fight. If I recall, one ticket is good enough for up to 4 people, right? Is it alright if I call 3 more people?
Yes, that's fine. For the time being, I'll write them down on the guest list. Could I have their names?
Turned around and glared at the greasy hooligan who subjected Shion to that humiliation. There are 3 things that aren't working in your favor today, punk. The first is that I owe Shion. Second is that I'm a man who's not afraid to throw away his pride to win. And the third is that we're the most powerful club members in history. Please add Rena Ryugu, Sadako Hojo, and Rika Furude to the guest list.
Understood. I'll do that.
I have the best and most powerful club members join the fray. They can bring down 1,000 foes, you fat asses. Prepare to meet your maker. Oh, but now he's making Mion feel like Mion isn't part of the group. Keiichi, what are you doing? Mion's gonna die.
This is a nice restaurant. The uniforms are cute. Rena wants to wear them too. On top of that, we're being treated to dessert. I'm deeply moved.
Yeah, as much as you like. Don't worry about my share. I'm full.
Keiichi-san, enough with the charades. Let's get to the point.
Rena and Rika-chan put down their forks when Sadako broached the subject. After looking at them for a few moments, I pressed my forehead firmly into the table. I beg of you. I don't care if you make fun of how pathetic I am. Please lend me your strength. The 3 of them seemed surprised by the sudden turn of events, but nevertheless listened to what I had to say without making fun of my unusual behavior.
What's the matter? Something happened, didn't it? Didn't it?
Actually, Mion's younger sister Shion is working part-time at this restaurant.
Ah, that little sister you were talking about, right. Could it be her? Could it? She resembles her.
Resemble? That's just Mion with her hair down, is it?
I didn't know what to say.
If Keiichi says that's Shion, then that's Shion. If Keiichi says so.
Maybe twins, but they can really look that much alike, huh?
They're called monozygotic twins. They really can look identical.
Rena gave the most plausible explanation, so everyone else was convinced. Well then, do you believe me? I'll get to the point then. I recounted everything that had just happened. How Shion was targeted, how she was antagonized by the customers, and the humiliation that was forced upon her. Also how incredibly pathetic I was. Included everything without trying to hide it.
That's awful. Poor Shi-chan.
However, for you to be so unable to help her, should be a limit to how unsightly you can be.
There's nothing I could say to that.
Sadoko-chan, to admit that you lost and seek help is a very difficult thing to do. Keiichi-kun chose to help Shi-chan rather than save his pride.
Oh, so pathetic.
Rena's follow-up stung a bit, but I could only be thankful that she understood. Sadako was calling me all sorts of names, but there were no malign intentions behind her words.
Then what should we do?
Her voice was monotone, but there was a hint of resolve in her words. I replied to Rika-chan's suggestive silence in kind with my own quiet resolve.
Well, I thought it would be something like that. It is a bit much for Keiichi-san to handle alone, after all.
Then you'll help?
Of course, Keiichi-kun. We'll help anybody who's being bullied.
Including the kids I bullied to help win?
We already established it's fine if it's inter-community bullying.
Okay. I remembered what I was courted.
Intra-community bullying.
Yeah.
It's only inter-community violence that we disapprove of.
I remember when I was courted by those thugs. What Shion had said about the strong feeling of solidarity in Hinamizawa really began to hit home. However, Keiichi Maebara, now is not the time to get choked up with tears of gratitude. Now is the time to fight. I'm sorry I owe you one.
You tried your best, but didn't stand a chance alone. How sad, how sad.
Rika-chan gently pat my head for me. But there was no mindless pity in the palm of that hand. It was overflowing with strong, dependable feeling of leave the rest to us. Mion can't join us due to various circumstances, so I will temporarily be taking command. Our strategy will revolve around Shion's defense and the extermination of the enemy's combat capability.
Who's the enemy? Are there a lot of them?
From this point forward, anyone who messes with Shion shall be considered an enemy combatant. There are no rules of engagement. Compensation will be the dessert you just ate. Any questions? Everyone had already entered club mode, their eyes peering at the riffraff, clamoring around inside the restaurant like predators, stalking their prey from the darkness. Rika-chan held up her hand. What is it, Rika-chan?
Do we have to show mercy?
Of course we don't have to. We have no need to show mercy to the rabble that would dare lay a finger on Mion's little sister.
Then it's okay. Keiichi?
Rika-chan was serious. She was really ready to pretty much murder someone.
We did establish that when someone fucks with someone from Hinamizawa, even the grade school kids are ready to join the mob at any moment.
I don't think we established that, but all. I think what we've established is that Rika is ride or die. I also like how this one's playing with the same thing the first game was, where it's like, oh, Rena's got an axe, like, oh, look at all these whereas this one is like, it's more in the narration that we get that sense of like, oh, this is uncomfortable murder times. I'm counting on you, Rika-chan. I, Keiichi Maebara, shall assume all responsibility. Rout them.
Alrighty.
Oh,
Alrighty, Rena's gonna do her best too.
I'm sorry. Please do.
Keiichi-san, you don't have to be so tense. Just wait and see. By the time you finish that parfait, we'll finish cleaning up too.
Well then, everyone, let's give it our all. Go for it. Yay!
Yay!
Thus, the most powerful warband the world had ever known, trained by Mion, began to move. And we'll have to see what they accomplish
Next time?
next time. Oh, I'm so enjoying this. This chapter's been very uncomfortable, but also full of gender, so I'm cool with it. Don't you just hate it when you're writing a game and oops, it's all gender now? How could you? You got it everywhere. Anyway, bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.